and organisations support you and disarm your detractors. Start by being able to articulate why you have events and programs. For example, to highlight your collections, promote your services, outreach to wider audiences, or to benefit the community by being inclusive and recognising the diverse nature of your community. The section guides you through what to do before, during, and after events, including statements you might wish to include in your policy, such as socially excluded, marginalised, and underrepresented people, not just the mainstream majority, should be able to see themselves reflected in the resources and programs that libraries offer. Programs should not be cancelled because of the idea or topics of the program or the views expressed by the participants or speakers. The library is not obligated to hold events or programs representing opposing viewpoints. So be prepared and prepare your staff and stakeholders. What I haven't really covered here is in that very first part of planning the programs that you might be delivering, ensuring that those events are what the community really want. And there could be a whole separate webinar on this topic because there's some great ideas and advice about how you co-design to make sure that you're not just presenting a very narrow view of a community. So, for instance, not just drag story times. Our world is experiencing increasing challenge and division, demonstrated most graphically in the United States. But in Aotearoa, New Zealand, we have conservative organisations such as Family First New Zealand. This organisation calls itself the Family Watchdog and promotes traditional families and marriage, opposes abortion and surrogacy, sex education for children, transgender identity, euthanasia, and legislation preventing physical discipline of children, amongst other issues. We also have Destiny Church, who promote traditional religious family and gender norms. They have been noisy and violent at Pride events, including those in libraries. These organisations seek to remove content of opposing views from public consumption and to stop children from being exposed to views that they oppose, even by simply presenting homosexuality or trans identity in a positive or affirming light. They're in touch with overseas conservative groups, such as those that claim there's an agenda behind drag queen story times of normalising paedophilia. The team from the Disinformation Project described tactics of these groups, such as using Lagoina requests, attacks on social media pages and through call centres, and the aligning of various conspiratorial groups to draw in more resistance to both civic and commercial organisations promoting diversity and inclusivity. They aim to silence others commenting and to make Pride toxic and unprofitable for organisations. Brian and Hannah Tamaki tried to sue councils and libraries for what they call rainbow washing our communities and targeting our children and youth. The church has more recently focused on anti-immigration with its new subgroup, True Patriots of New Zealand. Brian Tamaki attended anti-immigration rallies in the UK last year. However, on the website for this new group, they have a section called Hands Off Kiwi Kids, in which they make clear what they will do next. Actions include defunding and removing drag queen story times for our libraries and schools, banning puberty blockers, and defunding and removing the politicised rainbow movement's branding and paraphernalia that is paid for with taxpayer and ratepayers' money, trying to rainbow wash our kids. And their site has some fundraising links. They're fundraising to launch legal challenges against these things. So I'm sorry about this slide, which is a little confronting. But it is why we need to think about our allies and partners, and there are plenty of those, and standing up for our role in providing inclusive and broad collections and services. We need to provide leadership and clear messaging that the targeting and language used that we're experiencing is unacceptable. We need to identify allies and share information and support each other. And we need to look after our social media and frontline staff using the tools of risk management and event triaging, and measure and report harmful challenges to get more support. Local government New Zealand and our own councils are also key allies, since groups targeting us are also challenging the right of local and central government to make decisions and fund activities that deliver their strategies. While most of Aotearoa New Zealand is celebrating Pride Month in March, Tāmaki Makaurau are in the midst of February Pride Month, and I've used examples from there for that reason. A very strong level of support from your council or organisation is your best partnership for defending your right to be involved in Pride. And Auckland Council have provided a strong stance on celebrating Pride right across the organisation and in their public communications. Councillor Julie Ferry, Chair of Auckland Council's Community Committee, says Auckland Council strives to champion respect and inclusivity. We know that giving everyone a sense of belonging and connection and chances to participate improves mental and physical haora. Auckland Council has a responsibility to make our city safe and inclusive for all our residents, and Proud Centres help us to fly a flag of solidarity for our queer community members. All Aucklanders should be able to be themselves in Tāmaki Makaurau and be treated with dignity and respect. Sometimes allies will reach out to libraries. Our communities are often very strong supporters of what we are doing. Whether it is a protest march or a Pride celebration event, there's an amazing group of people, mostly in Tāmaki Makaurau, who take on the role of keeping people safe, all trained in de-escalation and understanding what hecklers or challengers are trying to do and gently disenabling them. They have attended library Pride events in Tāmaki. I have seen them at rallies stand with a banner in between hecklers and a peaceful crowd, stopping images being taken and neutralising the distress they can cause. Citizens and community groups in the USA often perform the same role, acting as guardian angels. The Kaiawhina group were part of Toitu Te Aroha, a large rally held in Auckland by a coalition of groups Destiny Church have targeted, with a message of spreading love, not hatred, of standing together and for each other, and also admonishing Destiny Church for using Māori culture and the haka inappropriately. We're involved in a balancing act when some people's assertion of free speech harms others in the community. But we cannot forget that freedom of speech for all implies a level playing field, but that power and privilege are not equally distributed. A good resource on this is Moana Jackson's reflections on Indigenous experience of the free speech debate, where he states that no one's exercise of free speech should make others feel less free. In January 2026, the organisation Rights Aotearoa wrote about the philosophical case for hate speech laws, which we don't currently have in Aotearoa, which protect human dignity above the right to speech that excludes citizens and diminishes their right to be themselves in society. Our next Library Life column talks about their case and what it may mean for libraries, or you can go to the Rights Aotearoa website and read their whole case. Our other resource to help support each other is the Library Challenges Register. And I would have handed over to Marlies at this point, but I will take you through this section as well. So here in Aotearoa, it has been difficult in the past to get an adequate grasp on what challenges are occurring and the nature of what libraries are facing, except for word of mouth and reporting in the news. We had looked at overseas data collected by the American, Canadian, and Australian library associations, but this data hadn't captured challenges that are locally relevant and specific to us. So LIANZA created a unique register for Aotearoa, New Zealand, based on our research on the registers of other library associations. The Library Challenges Register has been developed to help the sector understand the nature and extent of challenges to our library and information sector in Aotearoa, New Zealand. As we've seen, censorship attempts on age appropriateness of children's content and queer narratives in libraries are on the rise. Thus, we encourage every library, please, to add your challenges to the register so that we have the data we need to respond to challenges. The register extends the Freedom to Read Toolkit and contributes to libraries' ongoing commitment to upholding freedom of access to information. You can easily locate the register with a button right here on the LIANZA website homepage, as well as being linked at the top of the Freedom to Read Toolkit page. And submitting to the register is a simple web form to fill in with multiple choice questions, asking about the type of challenge, the topic, what method of challenge was experienced, and what category of library was challenged. The reports are then automatically entered into a database that creates the Library Challenges Register. Only the LIANZA office and Freedom of Information assigned committee members have access to the database, and your data is confidential, covered by the privacy policies of LIANZA and Airtable, the platform we've used for the register. And if the submitter has asked for extra help or advice, the committee will get in touch with them. So let's take a look at some of the stats so far since launching the register in May 2025. 59 reports of challenges, 71% of those about books. 77 of the challenges, the books were retained or reallocated, or events continued counter to the challenge. 86% of challenges were from general public, 29% from parents specifically. But there were also 5 challenges from library staff. 71% of the challenges were for content directed at children or a teen audience, and 73% were regarding topics of gender, sexuality, and age appropriateness. So here's this focus on the rainbow communities. And this is all great information to alert us where support is needed and understanding the kinds of challenges that libraries are experiencing. It's also been really interesting to see the actions that staff take, such as referring complainants to their collection policies, retaining the item, or moving the item into a different collection. As you can see, the majority of challenges to censor content in libraries is on topics of gender, sexuality, and age appropriateness. So this is clearly an area where libraries are needing to focus their attentions to prepare for challenges. Huge thank you to everyone who has reported their challenges so far, and a huge thank you to everyone who reports in the future. The more the merrier, please. The success of the register depends entirely on library staff submitting reports, so we really appreciate your efforts. Collecting the data is ultimately for your benefit, and LIANZA will use it to help libraries and librarians. These are some of the titles that have been reported in the register in the last year. We're seeing the same kind of variety that we had expected, and that is common overseas. So gender, sexuality, sex, women's bodies, particularly in content for children and teens, as well as titles reflecting contemporary issues as seen in the challenge to the Prime Minister of Israel's memoir. There's also a very typically challenged titles such as Mein Kampf and the Harry Potter books. But it is really useful for us to see titles published in Aotearoa showing up, such as the book moving forward from our past, challenged for an inaccurate depiction of historical events regarding Māori and Pākehā relationships. We also want to acknowledge that we're often making these balancing act type decisions, and it's not always easy to get it right. Reports came in from a community library which changed the name of their Rainbow Storytime event to Everyone is Welcome, as a health and safety precaution following actions from Destiny Church in Auckland last year. Consequently, their local Rainbow community expressed disappointment in the name change and asked their library to remain steadfast in advocating for their community and the importance of visibility for Rainbow youth. In this instance, we can see that the library was balancing health and safety of staff and attendees in the context of recent events, while still wanting to show the support to the community by going ahead with the event. But it also shows that importance of working with the community to understand what it is they want. While there are overt forms of challenges like formal complaints, reports in the register show that library staff are also attuned to more subtle and discreet forms of censorship being enacted. For example, all copies of a certain book goes missing, or books have been mysteriously reassigned to the stack. And of course, staff members themselves question what collection a book is held in, or if it should be on display. So we encourage librarians to have professional conversations about these decisions, bring it to team meetings, or discuss with your colleagues, and make a professionally informed decision based on policy and context that you can back up if questioned. So to conclude, we issue to you a call to action. During Pride Month, please report any challenges towards Pride events, displays and programming that your library encounters to the Library Challenges Register. This is the first Pride celebration period of time since the register was created. So take a look at the reporting form online to familiarise yourself with the process. Talk to your team about embedding it in your regular process to report challenges. Team leaders and managers, please spread the news about the register with your frontline staff. Anyone can submit a challenge, and frontline library staff are the ones likely to be encountering challenges from interactions with patrons in the library or by monitoring social media comments. We want awareness of the register to be reaching all levels of library staffing, not just sitting with management or collections librarians. So look out for challenges to Pride events or displays that could come through social media comments or messages or vandalism or formal complaints. And reach out to the committee for any of your questions. Or take a look at the register frequently asked questions on the LIANZA website. Overseas library associations we spoke to emphasise the benefits of local data. Comprehensive data about challenges give libraries a deeper understanding of what is being challenged and how public resistance to intellectual freedom manifests, which can help libraries create more appropriate policies and assist with community outreach in times of potential discord. Library associations are better equipped to create resources and advise the profession with a richer knowledge of challenges, all of which is in the service of supporting staff out there in libraries, advocating for libraries, and protecting the freedom to read that libraries upheld. I have come to the end of this talk about the tools that are already available and a reminder of where to find them and what might be in there to help you with your challenges. And I'm going to hand over now to Paula, who is going to lead our fantastic panelists through this next section.
Thanks, Louise. Just picking up on one question that Vanessa Tedesco from Christchurch Libraries posed in the chat. She wanted to know, do you want verbatim records? We get some via email. Could you talk to that before we move on to the panel, or would you like time to think?
No, Kia ora. Yes, if you can do that because you can just cut and paste into the web form. Um, it's the database in the background is a spreadsheet. It can take quite a lot of data. If you think that's useful, then those verbatim comments are sometimes really insightful. Or if you find that it's too long, or there's then you can summarize it as well. But yes, some of the verbatim comments are really useful.
She's added a follow-up point. I'm looking at an email and thinking the best description is the copy of the text of the email that's not breaking any specific ethical standards, ? And she obviously wouldn't mention the customer's name.
That's right. So that's if without the customer's name, then unless it identifies them somehow in the text of the email, and that could be taken out, then I think that should be okay. And also a reminder that the only people who have access to the database are two assigned members of the Freedom of Information Committee and someone in the LIANZA office. So any information that we send out about what's been collected is in summary form and would never disclose anything personal.
That's great. Thanks for answering that. I thought it was good just to capture it in real time. Ahead of our panel discussion, Lois, Deborah and H, it's a privilege to have you all here to share your collective and individual experiences, ideas, wisdom and guidance with the 46 people in the webinar at the moment. So I'm just going to stop the recording right now and